Welcome to Saints on Cinema. I'm Tim Wilde, and I wanted to share with you tonight my thoughts about the Star Wars Saga films. I went to see the new movie, The Rise of Skywalker. It came out tonight, and I prepared myself for this by watching, starting last night at midnight, it's just after midnight now, episodes 1 through now 9. I just want to watch the Saga films and talk about the messages that I got. It was the three main themes I got from each of the trilogies. I just had a very emotional day today going through each of these stories and watching things come out of the different characters and a lot of the threads that tied each of these pieces together, regardless of about how I feel about the different films individually. I felt a lot of emotion that I had never really experienced before, except for today watching them straight through. And I'm not going to get into details about those, but I just want to talk about the three things that I got out of the trilogies. The first trilogy, episodes 1 through 3, the prequels, I really feel like that message, those movies have a theme of destiny. I feel like everything is all set up for what's going to happen later in the movies, and a lot of people's criticisms about what happened later on in the saga has to do with the setups of who is who and who's related to who and all that stuff politically, who's interacting and working with who, whatever. Those themes started from episodes 1 through 3, and I think that's actually important. I think it's important that we realize some of the turns that happen throughout the Star Wars movies are that we aren't forced to be a certain way or to do certain things or make certain decisions based on who we are and where we feel our destiny is, and definitely not based on what other people tell us our destiny is. And we see a lot of that through who Skywalker was. We see a lot of that through who Obi-Wan was. We see a lot about the family relationships that build for the classic trilogy and that set up for that. Destiny in those three movies are all about options and about making the right decisions. And you see that a lot with Anakin. I'm not going to talk about specifics, like I said, but I think it's a really powerful message of someone that we see set up who has the options to follow his heart, even if it's to a fault where he makes serious, drastic mistakes that have consequences for his passions and his personal desires that aren't necessarily wicked, like his devotion to Padme or his mother or whatever, or his desire to serve and to be a Jedi Master. Those things and the decisions he makes aren't always right, but I think it's really interesting to watch the different approaches that other people have in helping him guide and decide what to do in his life, the counsel they give him, or the options that they give him, or the commands and the rules that are put upon him, and how he responds to those. If we want to look at that in life, we can look at that we're in a society, or we have religious beliefs, or that we may have different restrictions and things like that. And we can look at those and decide, are we going to follow the things that we know are right, regardless of our personal passions, our personal desires, or our self-interest? And is it going to be the right thing to do? Or are we going to put our needs above others, or what we might feel that we're destined to do? Are we going to put our personal interests above what we should be doing that's right? The big difference between Anakin and Obi-Wan and Anakin and Luke Skywalker in the classic trilogy are what they do with those decisions. I noticed that Obi-Wan is kind of treated similarly by Qui-Gon Jinn as far as discipline as a young, hot-headed Padawan, the same way that Anakin is by Obi-Wan training him. The difference is how they respond to that, and you see a lot more humility and love for his master from Obi-Wan. He lowers himself and he puts the needs of the Jedi Order and what he's asked to do and the things that he knows are right. And his following those righteous desires and being obedient to the Jedi Code are what make him more effective and powerful later on to change the course of the destiny of the rest of the galaxy. Then you see Skywalker, and when Anakin is given similar conditions or being reproved or whatever, he retaliates, or he becomes defensive, or he blames Obi-Wan or the Jedi for whatever things are going wrong in his life. There's no humility, except for sometimes when he's forced or he's obliged or obligated or compelled to be humble. He then turns to Obi-Wan a little more reverently, but it's very short-lived, and his habits and his behavior condition him to be impatient and intolerant and been thirsty for his own desires. Even though it's for people he loves, it's still his needs above everything else. We have choices in life. We have things that we're expected, I believe, by God, things that we can accomplish and things that we can do to serve and love other people, or we can fulfill only our self-interests. I think it's a really important thing to decide what we can do with the destiny and the options that we have ahead of us. I don't believe that we're all forced into any certain way of life or any path. I think that when things are put in front of us, that we can make decisions on, that we can do something that's good or something that we want. Sometimes those go hand in hand. But I think that it's a really powerful message of what to do with in our lives for not fighting our destiny and our need to be the best us's that we can be, but to try to serve and to build up others and to love other people, to try and help others to be the best people that they can be. That as we come together as a society or as a religion, as a faith or as a people, as a family, whatever, in loving and serving each other, that's how we can build that up. But it all depends on how we face the decisions that we have day to day. And I think that the first three movies really tell a great story of someone that made sometimes very wrong decisions and had drastic consequences that affected millions and billions of people in the Star Wars galaxy. Then you go to the second trilogy, and we all very famously know that the theme of that movie, I feel, is hope. And I'm not going to talk as much specifics about that. The first movie is called A New Hope, and it was originally called Star Wars, I know. But that New Hope, there's a lot of different meanings for that. Is Luke the New Hope, or is it that they defeated the Death Star? Is that the new hope for the rebellion? Whatever. A lot of different ways to interpret that. But the message that we have is that, things got really dark. In Episode 3, the galaxy was in a horrible, critical, disastrous place. And it was now run by a dictator who was the Emperor, who was the enemy, one of the greatest enemies of everyone in the Star Wars universe forever. And he was in full power and ruling over everyone, and his oppression of the galaxy caused good-hearted people to stand up and fight against him. And those good people, though outnumbered, outmatched, and overwhelmed in so many different circumstances, they still persevered and did everything they could to fight back. They restored the hope that the galaxy enjoyed previous to that, during the Republic times and through the reign of the Jedi in the temples and all that. In the Civil War era, episodes 4, 5, and 6, they fought against the most awful odds and circumstances to do what they knew was right. Again, going back to destiny and making the right decisions, but they brought hope and restored hope to other people. And it went all the way through defeating the Emperor and redeeming Anakin, who had all of his falls from the first trilogy. A very powerful message that no one is beyond forgiveness. A very powerful message of the ability that we have to contribute to hope and to do good and to see the inspiration that we can cause other people. That they can also do good, and as we all work together again to uplift and to build and fight against evil and to fight in righteousness, we have the ability to make a huge difference and save each other. That's what happened in the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6. And then we go into 7, 8, and 9. I really think this main message from these movies is love. You see so many interesting relationships that sprout up that weren't really the same way in all the other movies, but Rey and Finn, or Poe and Finn, BB-8 and all the characters, even Kylo and Rey, or Kylo and Finn, everyone had different interactions and relationships. Kylo and his father, Luke and Rey. You have Leia and Solo. Even everyone has different relationships and different interactions and different circumstances around how they know each other and how they feel about each other. But the main thing that happens in almost every single one of those is that love prevails. It's not talking about romantic love, obviously, but the desire that they have to put someone else's needs above them, or to lower themselves and humble themselves to care about what the other person's feeling or what they need. The service that they give to each other, especially with all of its faults in my mind, The Last Jedi, all of the different things that they're doing, they're trying to do to serve someone else, or they're trying to do whatever they can to save the life of someone else, or to fight for the hope of other people. There's so much of that throughout these movies. I think it's a really powerful message of the bonds of friendship and unity and love that can come in any group or between any people, even your enemies, that we see happen here. I don't think that these themes don't work together. I think we make right decisions with our destiny, that we can fight hard to instill and to share and develop hope with other people, and that's preserved and fought for through love and through actions of righteousness and trying to help and care for other people. I had a lot of ups and downs today, and I felt really good going into the last installment of the Saga movies, again, until further notice from Disney. But I just wanted to share that I didn't realize that these are some of the main things that came out from each trilogy, and they're all beautiful. These movies stand on their own in a lot of ways. They fail on their own in a lot of ways too, but there are some powerful messages in these movies that you don't really get anywhere else. I know we have a lot of things that we can pull from other superhero movies or comic movies or other things in science fiction and fantasy or whatever, but these movies are distinct, and they're a part of our heritage. They really are, and they're a part of cinema history, and they're a part of our culture. And I just wanted to share, having gone through all of them within 24 hours, and my very first impressions and how I feel about the whole thing. I just wanted to say, for my Wilde impression, that I love these movies. I think they stand up, and I think that they have powerful and important and relevant messages to share, and themes that we all need to live in our lives to restore hope in a world that we feel politically or through suffering in the world or whatever, that is struggling and is dying, that the earth is dying and people are dying, not just physically but emotionally. People are down in a low state, and there are people that are happier and people that can serve, and we're in a position that we can do good, that we can choose our own destiny, and that in spite of the consequences or the trials that are put upon us, we can fight for what's right. I think this message tells good stories of people that do that and some people that don't. But even those that don't, they can be redeemed. And that's through Jesus Christ. And I'm not going to get all crazy into that metaphor, but there is hope in the world, and that if anyone, regardless of what you believe or who you are, what your circumstances are, if we do our best to love each other and to keep that hope in our hearts for a better world and for a better place after this life, we can overcome the evils that we all face, and that we can make life a lot better for other people. That is our destiny. I think it's a powerful message that we get from the Star Wars movies and the different relationships, great examples and great heroes, and tragedies that we see from some of the villains. We can learn from them. Just like any other means of media and entertainment, we can learn from the Star Wars movies. And I just want to share that's what I got out of it. This is my little testimonial for the Star Wars movies. I love them. I love them. There's so many dumb things about them, and there's so many exciting things about them, and there's so much heart that's thread throughout them that are contributed from between the actors and the writers and directors and everything. But they're messages of love and hope and doing the best we can with our destiny. That's what I think. I just wanted to share that. And I hope you guys can do whatever you can to make life better for others and love each other as well. Anyway, thanks for watching.